I left Charlotte at 7 that morning. Coffee in the thermos, Jim's thermos, the blue one with the dent. Highway 17 was clear, Memorial Day weekend, beach house tradition. Emma and Connor were coming Saturday. I'd promised chocolate chip pancakes on the deck. The drive took 3 hours. I knew every exit. Around Wilmington, flat farmland gave way to scrub pines, salt marshes, then the bridge. I could smell the ocean before I saw it. That briny seaweed smell. Home. Our second home. For 41 years. Ocean Drive. Past the mini golf course. Past the ice cream shop. Left on Sandpiper Lane. The sold sign. Blue shutters. Jim had repainted them the summer before he died. Wraparound deck. The railing he'd built. My key was already out, ready to unlock the door. But there were cars in the driveway. People on the deck. My deck. A woman in a blazer with a clipboard pointing at the roof. A young couple listening, nodding. The man put his arm around the woman's shoulders. I sat in my car, engine running, staring. The woman noticed me, walked down the steps, heels clicking. "Can I help you?" "This is my house," I said. Her smile faltered. "I'm sorry, ma'am. There must be confusion. This property sold 2 weeks ago. We're doing a final walkthrough with the new owners." "I didn't sell this house." She checked her clipboard. The seller was Karen Reynolds Mitchell. She had power of attorney on file. Karen, my daughter. My key slipped from my hand, hit the car floor. The woman kept talking. I couldn't hear her, just the ocean, waves on sand. The sound I'd fallen asleep to every summer for 41 years. "Ma'am, are you all right?" I looked at the house. The shutters Jim painted, the deck he built, Emma and Connor's handprints in the concrete by the outdoor shower, 3 summers ago. I picked up my key, turned off the engine, got out. "I need you to explain this," I said. She flipped through papers. "Your daughter listed the property April 20th. Cash buyer. Quick closing. She had all the documentation, power of attorney with general authority, everything checked out. I never gave her permission to sell this house. The power of attorney was for medical decisions, not for selling property." Her smile disappeared. She looked at her clipboard, then at me. "I think you should contact your daughter." I got back in my car, hands shaking. I couldn't get the key in the ignition at first. Finally started the engine. The realtor stood there watching, probably worried I'd cause a scene. I didn't. I backed out, drove to the end of the street, pulled over, 20 minutes, just breathing, looking at the ocean. I called Karen. Voicemail. Called again. Voicemail. I called Margaret, my neighbor in Charlotte. Book club friend. She answered on the second ring. "Barb, aren't you at the beach?" "Margaret, I need you to tell me how power of attorney works." A pause. What happened? Karen sold the beach house. The realtor says she used power of attorney. Barb. Medical power of attorney doesn't give authority to sell property. I know. Did you sign anything else? No, just the medical one, 6 months ago. Silence. When Margaret spoke again, her voice was different. Attorney Margaret. "You need to get a copy of what you signed from the county clerk and call me when you have it." I looked at the ocean. Okay. I didn't go back to the beach house, didn't see Emma and Connor that weekend, didn't make pancakes. I drove back to Charlotte. 3 hours. Highway 17 in reverse. The whole way I kept thinking about 6 months ago. March. Karen asked me to sign papers. Power of attorney. Just in case, she'd said. "You're getting older, Mom, for medical decisions. What if you can't make decisions for yourself?" I'd signed it. Because she was my daughter. Because I trusted her. 3 months earlier, I had no idea this was coming. I live in Charlotte. A condo on the east side. 2 bedrooms. 1 bath. It's enough for me. I bought it after Jim died. Couldn't stay in the house where we'd raised Karen. Too many memories. Too many empty rooms. I taught elementary school for 35 years. 3rd grade, 8-year-olds. The age where they still think teachers are magic. I retired 6 years ago. Pension, Social Security. I'm comfortable, not wealthy, but comfortable. Tuesday mornings, I have book club. Margaret Coleman hosts. She lives 3 doors down. We read mysteries mostly. Sometimes literary fiction if someone insists. Thursday afternoons, I volunteer at the garden club. Deadheading roses at the community center. Watering the butterfly garden. It keeps me busy. The beach house was different. That was family. Legacy. Jim and I bought it in 1983. We were 43. Karen was 7. Jim had just made partner at his accounting firm. We'd saved for years. Every bonus. Every tax return. We drove down to the coast one weekend in March, looked at 6 properties. The 7th one, blue shutters, wraparound deck, 2 blocks from the ocean, that was it. We paid $112,000. Cash. No mortgage, Jim insisted. He didn't like debt. We spent every summer there, Memorial Day to Labor Day. Karen grew up on that beach. She learned to swim in those waves, built sand castles, collected seashells in a mason jar. Jim taught her to fish off the pier. She never caught anything, but she loved trying. When Karen got older, high school, college, she'd bring friends. The house was always full. Music, laughter, teenage girls on the deck painting their toenails, Jim grilling burgers, me making sweet tea by the gallon. After she got married, she brought Tom, then the grandchildren, Emma and Connor. They loved it as much as Karen had, maybe more. Emma collected seashells like her mother. Connor fished with Jim's old rods, the same ones Jim had used, the ones still hanging in the garage. Were hanging. I don't know if they're still there now. Jim died 5 years ago. Heart attack. He was in the garden, planting tomatoes. I found him with the trowel still in his hand. After that, the beach house felt different, quieter, but I kept going. For Emma and Connor, for the memories, for Jim. Karen struggled after her father died. They'd been close. She was 37. Too young to lose a parent, she said. I told her there's never a good age, but I understood. I'd lost my husband. She'd lost her hero. I helped her when I could. I always had. College tuition, $85,000. I'd worked double shifts as a teacher's aide before I got my certification. Saved every penny. Down payment on her first house, $40,000. That was my retirement fund. I'd started over. Wedding at the country club, $30,000. I'd been saving since she was born. Private school for Emma and Connor, $20,000 a year for 3 years. When Tom's business was struggling, her divorce. Attorney, $25,000. When everything fell apart, total $240,000. I kept track, not because I wanted it back, but because I wanted to remember. I thought I was building her future, investing in my daughter. That's what parents do. Karen's divorce was brutal. Tom had an affair, some woman from his office. Marketing associate, 28 years old. He married her 6 months after the divorce was final. Karen lost the house and the settlement, half her retirement. The judge said it was equitable. I don't think Karen thought it was equitable. She called me crying, late at night. Mom, I don't know what to do. I'm 42, starting over. Everyone looks at me like I'm a failure. I tell her she wasn't a failure, that divorce happens, that she'd rebuild. I wanted to help. I wanted to fix it. That was my mistake. 6 months ago, March, Karen came over for dinner. Wednesday night, I made pot roast, her favorite. We were sitting at the table. She'd been quiet all evening, picking at her food. Mom, she said, I need to talk to you about something. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. You're getting older. I'm 68, not ancient. I know, but what if something happens? What if you're in an accident? What if you can't make decisions for yourself? I set down my fork. What are you asking? Power of attorney, just medical, for emergencies, so I can make healthcare decisions if you can't. It made sense. I lived alone. No husband. Karen was my only child. Who else would make those decisions? Okay, I said. She had the papers with her, in her purse, already printed. She said her lawyer had drawn them up. I should have read them more carefully. I should have asked questions. But I trusted her. She was my daughter. I signed them at my kitchen table. blue ink, my regular signature. Karen witnessed. She folded the papers, put them back in her purse. "Thank you, Mom," she said. "This is just for peace of mind. I hope we never need it." I didn't think about it again, not until Memorial Day, not until the sold sign. Margaret showed up at my door that Tuesday evening. I'd called her from the beach, told her what happened. She'd said to come home, get the documents. She'd look at them. I'd stopped at the county clerk's office on the way back to Charlotte, requested copies of anything filed under my name. Power of attorney, property transfers, anything. The clerk had looked at me funny. "Are you sure you want all of this?" "Yes." She'd printed everything, handed me a manila folder. I'd paid $3 for copies, put the folder on my passenger seat, didn't open it. I wasn't ready. Margaret knocked at 6. She had coffee, 2 cups, and lemon bars. She always brought lemon bars when she sensed I needed them. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd signed the papers. Margaret opened the folder. She was quiet for a long time, reading, flipping pages. I watched her face. She'd been an estate attorney for 30 years before she retired. I'd known her for 12, book club, coffee on the porch. She'd helped me with Jim's will after he died. "Barb," she said finally, "this isn't just medical power of attorney." "What do you mean?" She turned the paper toward me, pointed to a section. "This gives Karen general authority. Healthcare, financial, property, everything." I stared at it. The words blurred. "That's not what she told me," I said. "I know." She said medical, for emergencies. Margaret's face was careful. Lawyer face. "Did you read this before you signed it?" She said her lawyer drew it up. I trusted her. "Barb," Margaret set her coffee down, looked at me directly. "This document would allow Karen to sell property, access bank accounts, make any financial decision on your behalf." "But I didn't give her permission." "The document says you did." I looked at the signature at the bottom. My signature. Blue ink, kitchen table. 6 months ago. "What do I do?" I asked. Margaret was quiet. Then, "We need to see what else she's done. Bank statements, property records, credit cards, everything." I felt cold. The kitchen was warm. Spring evening. But I felt cold. "You think she took more than the house?" "I think we need to find out." That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table. Jim's reading glasses were on the counter. I'd kept them there. 5 years. Sometimes I'd put them on when I was reading bills, like he was helping me see clearly. I put them on now, pulled out my bank statements, credit card bills, started going through everything. The beach house was gone. But what else? What else had Karen done? I spent Wednesday morning at my laptop, searching. Power of attorney, North Carolina. Medical versus general authority. Can someone sell property with POA? The answers were clear. Medical power of attorney covered healthcare decisions only, not financial, not property. To sell real estate, you needed general power of attorney with specific language, explicit authority. I printed out 3 articles, highlighted the relevant sections, yellow marker. I wanted proof, not just my memory against Karen's word. At 10, I called the county clerk's office in Brunswick County, where the beach house was. The woman who answered sounded young, bored. "I need to check property records," I said, "for a house on Sandpiper Lane." She asked for the address. I gave it. Heard typing. That property transferred May 10th, sold for $650,000. $650,000. The house was worth maybe $400 when we bought it. Real estate on the coast had gone up. Jim would have been pleased. He'd always said it was a good investment. "Who was the seller?" I asked, though I knew. "Karen Reynolds Mitchell. She signed as attorney-in-fact for Barbara Reynolds." Attorney-in-fact, that was me, except I'd never authorized it. "Can you tell me what documentation was filed?" More typing. Power of attorney. General authority, dated March 15th, notarized. March 15th. That was 2 days after I'd signed the papers at my kitchen table. 2 days. "Thank you," I said. I hung up, sat there. My kitchen table. The same table where I'd signed, where Karen had said just medical, where I'd trusted her. I needed to see the original document, the one I'd actually signed, not the one filed with the county. I kept copies of important papers in my filing cabinet, in the spare bedroom: birth certificate, marriage license, Jim's death certificate, insurance policies. I found it in the folder labeled legal, behind Jim's will, a single page, medical power of attorney. The language was specific: healthcare decisions only, emergency treatment, end-of-life care, nothing about property, nothing about finances. My signature at the bottom, March 13th, Karen's signature as witness. I set it on the desk, pulled up the county website on my laptop, found the document filed May 8th. General power of attorney. Karen's name, my name, March 15th. I zoomed in on the signature. It looked like mine, almost, but not quite. The loop on the B was different, rounder. The way the Y in Reynolds crossed, that was wrong too. Small differences. But there. Someone had copied my signature, practiced it. Close enough to fool a notary, close enough to sell a house. My phone rang. Karen. I closed the laptop lid. Fast. My heart was pounding, which was ridiculous. She couldn't see me, couldn't see what I was looking at, but I felt caught. Hi, Mom. Hi, honey. My voice sounded normal. I was good at that. 35 years of teaching. You learn to sound calm when you're not. I heard you called the realtor. At the beach house? I did. A pause. She said you were upset. I was confused. I didn't know the house had sold. Mom. Karen's voice was patient. Too patient. Like she was talking to a child. We discussed this. Remember, you were worried about the maintenance costs, the property taxes. You said it was too much to manage. I don't remember that conversation. We talked about it in March. You said you'd been thinking about it for months, that you wanted to simplify, downsize. Had we? I tried to remember. March. That was when I'd signed the power of attorney. We'd had dinner, pot roast. She'd seemed stressed, but we hadn't talked about the beach house. I was sure of that. I would have remembered deciding to sell the beach house. I said, Mom, you're 68. Sometimes we forget conversations. It's normal. I didn't forget this. Silence. Then, the house sold for a good price, $650,000. The market was hot. Cash buyer. I handled everything so you wouldn't have to stress about it. Where's the money? Another pause. Longer. It's in my account. For now. I'm setting up a trust for you. Something safe. I'll transfer it once the paperwork is done. I'd like it in my account. My name. Of course. I just need to handle a few things first. Legal paperwork, tax documents. It's complicated. It didn't sound complicated. It sounded like stalling. Karen, I want the money transferred by Friday. Mom, that's not realistic. These things take time. Friday. I don't appreciate your tone. I've been trying to help you, protect you. And this is how you thank me? I looked at my laptop, the closed lid, the original POA on my desk, the signature that wasn't quite right. I need to go, I said. Mom, I hung up, set the phone down. My hands were shaking. I called Margaret. She's gaslighting you, Margaret said, making you doubt your own memory. That's what people do when they're caught. She said we discussed selling the house, that I wanted to downsize. Did you? No. Then she's lying. I heard it, the clarity in Margaret's voice, but part of me still wanted to believe Karen, wanted there to be an explanation, a misunderstanding. Margaret, she's my daughter. I know, honey. That's what makes this so hard. Margaret was quiet for a moment. Then, I'm coming over. I want to see those documents, both of them, the one you signed and the one she filed. She arrived 20 minutes later. No coffee this time, no lemon bars, just her reading glasses on the beaded chain. Attorney Margaret. She spread both documents on my kitchen table, side by side, looked at them for a long time. These are two different documents, she said finally. You signed a medical POA. She filed a general POA with a forged signature. How do you know it's forged? She pointed. Look at the date. You signed March 13th. She filed March 15th, 2 days later. But more than that, look at the signature itself. It's not quite right. I'd seen it too, but hearing Margaret say it made it real. What do I do? Margaret pulled up something on her phone, scrolled. I have a colleague, Susan Chen, estate and elder law. She handles financial abuse cases. You should talk to her. This is abuse. Margaret looked at me. Her face was kind, but firm. Barb, your daughter forged your signature. She sold your property without your permission. She has $650,000 in her account that belongs to you. Yes, this is abuse. I felt sick. There's something else, Margaret said. She pulled up Karen's court records, divorce settlement, public record. She turned her phone toward me. The numbers were worse than I'd known. Karen lost the house, appraised at $380,000. She'd had to buy Tom out of his half, plus her retirement account, split 50-50. She'd lost $260,000 between the house equity and retirement. The settlement was dated 18 months ago, right before she started asking me for money, right before the private school tuition help, the divorce attorney fees. The divorce settlement destroyed her, Margaret said. Financially, she lost everything. The house, half her retirement. Her ex's lawyer was brutal. I looked at the numbers. I understood desperation, financial ruin, starting over at 42, watching your ex-husband marry someone younger, living in a rented apartment, struggling to keep your kids in private school. I understood it, but understanding didn't make theft acceptable. I need to call Susan, I said. Margaret squeezed my hand. I'll send you her number. That night, I sat at the kitchen table again, Jim's reading glasses on, documents spread out, medical POA, general POA, property records, bank information. Karen had stolen my house. That was clear now. The question was, what else had she taken? I called Susan Chen on Thursday morning. Margaret had sent her number the night before. With a text, "She's expecting your call." Susan answered on the second ring. Professional. Direct. "Mrs. Reynolds, Margaret told me about your situation. I'd like to meet. Can you come to my office this afternoon?" I could. Her office was downtown, 10th floor, glass windows overlooking the city. She was younger than I expected, 45 maybe, neat suit, hair pulled back. She shook my hand firmly. "Sit," she said. "Tell me everything." I did. The beach house, the sold sign, Karen, the power of attorney, the signatures that didn't match. Susan took notes, bullet points, color-coded pens, blue for legal issues, red for financial, yellow for timeline. When I finished, she set down her pen. "This is elder financial abuse," she said. "Textbook case. We need to document everything, build a comprehensive evidence file. I have a colleague, forensic document examiner. We'll start there." 2 days later, I was sitting in a different office, smaller, cluttered. Books stacked on every surface, a man in his 60s, reading glasses, kind eyes. "I'm Richard Webb," he said. "Forensic document examination. Margaret's told me about your case." He'd already received the documents. Susan had sent them. Original medical POA, filed general POA, county property records. He had them spread across a large table under a lamp, magnifying glass, camera, ruler. "Come here," he said. "I want to show you something." I stood beside him. He pointed to my signature on the medical POA, March 13th. "This is your genuine signature, correct?" "Yes. Look at the pressure. See how the ink is heavier here? Where you started the B, and lighter here, where you finished." I saw it. He moved to the general POA, March 15th. "Now look at this one." The signature looked like mine, but under the lamp, under the magnifying glass, I could see what he meant. The pressure was too even, controlled, like someone had traced it slowly, carefully. "This is a simulated signature," Richard said. "Someone copied yours, practiced it, but they couldn't replicate the natural pressure variations, the speed. See the hesitation here? Where they paused. He pointed to the loop on the R. You don't pause when you sign your own name. It's muscle memory, automatic. So it's forged. Yes, without question. He took photographs, measurements, made notes. I watched him work, clinical, methodical, turning my signature into evidence. I'll write a formal report, he said, for legal proceedings. But Mrs. Reynolds, this is clear forgery, multiple indicators. Any court would accept this analysis. I sat down in the chair by the window. The room felt too warm suddenly, or maybe I felt cold. I wasn't sure. I sat there for 20 minutes after Richard left the room, just looking at those two signatures, one mine, one not. My daughter had practiced forging my name. How long had she planned this? Weeks? Months? Had she practiced on scratch paper? In notebooks? Perfecting the loops, the crosses, the pressure. When I finally stood up, my legs felt unsteady. Susan called that evening. Richard sent his preliminary findings. The signature is forged. We have our first piece of evidence. Now we need the financial records. I spent Friday morning pulling everything. Bank statements, credit card bills, investment accounts, everything from the past year. I spread them across my kitchen table, coffee in Jim's thermos, going cold while I read. The house sold for $650,000. The county records confirmed it. Sale price, $650,000. Karen's bank account. I didn't have access, but Susan said we could get it through legal discovery. For now, I had the property transfer document. Seller proceeds. $648,500, minus $1,500 in realtor fees. I looked at my own bank account. The money wasn't there, hadn't been deposited. Karen had said she was handling it, setting up a trust, legal paperwork. Susan called Tuesday afternoon. I was in the garden, deadheading roses, trying to keep my hands busy. Barb, I need you to sit down. I sat on the bench, Jim's bench, the one he'd built for our 30th anniversary. We pulled Karen's financial records through Discovery, subpoenaed her bank, the beach house money. She's already spent $120,000. On what? A Lexus SUV, $48,000. Country club initiation fee, $25,000. Furniture, $22,000. Credit card debts, $25,000. 6 weeks. She'd blown through $120,000 in 6 weeks. How much is left? $528,000, give or take. I closed my eyes. Half the money, gone. There's more, Susan said. The real estate transaction documents, the title company. They never contacted you directly, never verified your capacity, never asked if you understood what was being sold. Karen handled everything. Isn't that illegal? It's negligent. Standard practice is to contact the property owner, especially with power of attorney transactions. They didn't. They took Karen's word for it. What did she tell them? Susan was quiet for a moment. According to the title company employee's statement, Karen told them you were in early stage dementia, that you'd given her authority to handle your affairs, that you'd agreed to the sale but couldn't manage the details yourself. Dementia. I set the phone down, stood up, sat back down. Barb? Are you there? She told them I had dementia. Yes. I'm 68. I volunteer at the garden club. I balance my checkbook every month. I remember my grandchildren's birthdays, their favorite foods, what they want for Christmas. I read 3 books a month. I do the crossword puzzle every Sunday. And my daughter told strangers I was losing my mind. We have more evidence, Susan said. Emails. Between Karen and the realtor. We got them through civil discovery. What do they say? One from Karen to the realtor. My mother's in early dementia. I have full authority. Let's move quickly before she gets confused. Another from the realtor back. Understood. Fast closing preferred. And a third. Karen to a friend, personal email. She'll never know until it's done. By then the money will be gone. By then the money will be gone. She'd known. She'd planned it. Premeditated, not a mistake, not a misunderstanding, theft. The witness statements are consistent, Susan continued. Title company employee. We never spoke with Mrs. Reynolds directly. Realtor. Karen handled everything, said her mother was declining mentally. We had no reason to doubt her. What happens now? We have grounds for a strong case. Forged documents, financial records showing theft, emails proving premeditation, witness statements confirming she lied to professionals. We could file a lawsuit or what? We could try mediation first. It's faster, less expensive. If we can reach a settlement, you get your money back without going to trial. And if she refuses to settle? Then we file suit, civil case, and depending on the prosecutor, potentially criminal charges, forgery, elder financial abuse, theft by deception. Criminal charges. My daughter. In court. Potentially in jail. Let's try mediation, I said. That night, I sat at the kitchen table. Documents spread out. Forensic report. Financial records. Emails. Witness statements. 5 pieces of evidence, each one proving what Karen had done. I walked my usual route that afternoon, past the park where I used to take Karen when she was little. There was a mother and daughter on the swings now. The daughter, maybe 30, pushing her mom gently, both laughing. They looked happy. I kept walking, faster than usual. Tom called Wednesday morning, Karen's ex-husband. Barb, I don't know if you want to hear this, but I think you should know. What? Karen tried this before, 3 years ago. She forged your signature on Jim's life insurance claim, tried to get the payout sent to her account. What? The insurance company caught it. They flagged the signature as suspicious, called you directly to verify. You said you hadn't filed a claim. They told Karen they couldn't process it. She backed off, told them it was a mistake, a misunderstanding. I'd forgotten about that, or blocked it out. The insurance company had called 3 years ago, asked if I'd filed a death benefit claim on Jim's policy. I'd said no. They'd said thank you and hung up. I'd thought it was a computer error. I thought you should know, Tom said. She's done this before. This isn't new. After he hung up, I sat there. 3 years ago, the first attempt, then 6 months ago, the power of attorney, then May, the beach house sale. This wasn't impulse. This was pattern. Susan scheduled mediation for June 15th, 3 weeks away. Bring everything, she said, every document, every piece of evidence. We're building a case she can't refute. I spent those 3 weeks organizing, color-coded files like Susan used, blue for legal, red for financial, yellow for timeline, every piece of evidence documented, photographed, cross-referenced. I was ready. Sunday afternoon, 3 days before mediation. I sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd signed the power of attorney, where I'd trusted Karen, where I'd made my mistake. All the evidence was spread out in front of me. Color-coded files, blue for legal, red for financial, yellow for timeline. Susan's organizational system. It made sense, clear, methodical. Everything documented, everything cross-referenced, forensic report, signature analysis, proof of forgery, financial records, $650,000, $120,000 spent, $528,000 remaining, real estate documents, title company negligence, no contact with me, no verification, emails. She'll never know until it's done. Witness statements. We never spoke with Mrs. Reynolds. Tom's revelation, the life insurance attempt, 3 years ago. Pattern, not impulse. Pattern. I'd raised her alone after Jim died. She was 37. Too young to lose a father, she'd said. I'd held her while she cried, helped her through it, paid for grief counseling when she couldn't afford it. That was $2,000. I hadn't put it on the sacrifice ledger, but I remembered. I'd given her everything. College, down payment, wedding, grandchildren's school, divorce attorney, $240,000 over the years. And she'd wanted more. Not asked. Taken. I looked at Jim's reading glasses on the counter. 5 years he'd been gone. I'd kept them there. A presence. A comfort. Sometimes I'd put them on when I was struggling with something. Bills, legal documents, like he was helping me see clearly. I put them on now. The documents came into focus. Sharp, clear. I didn't need Jim to see this. I'd seen it on my own. The evidence was right there in black and white, blue and red and yellow. My daughter had forged my signature, lied to professionals, stolen my house, spent $120,000 in 6 weeks on luxuries while telling me she was setting up a trust. The woman I was 6 months ago would have called Karen, would have tried to talk it out, would have believed her explanations, would have chosen family harmony over the truth. The woman I was 3 months ago, standing in front of the Sold sign, would have been confused, hurt, would have wanted someone to fix it for me. The woman I was now knew better. I took off Jim's reading glasses, set them down. I didn't need them anymore. Or maybe I didn't need him to see for me. I could see clearly on my own. I called Susan, Sunday evening. She answered. "I've been thinking about mediation," I said. "What happens if she doesn't settle?" "We file suit, civil case, fraud, elder abuse, conversion of property. We have strong evidence. We'd likely win." "And criminal charges?" "That's up to the prosecutor. But with this level of evidence, forgery, premeditation, the emails, they'd have grounds. Karen could face charges, potentially jail time." Jail time. My daughter. Orange jumpsuit. Visiting through glass. Part of me still loved her, the part that remembered a 7-year-old collecting seashells, a 12-year-old learning to fish, a 22-year-old in a wedding dress. But love doesn't mean acceptance. Love doesn't mean allowing theft. Love doesn't mean protecting someone from consequences. "I want to be clear about something," I said to Susan. "I'm not doing this to punish Karen. I'm doing this because what she did was wrong, criminal. And if I don't stand up for myself, who will?" "Understood. If she settles, if she returns the money, I want it in writing, legal agreement, filed with the court, and I want her removed from any authority over my finances, my health care decisions, everything. We can do that. And if she doesn't settle, then we pursue every legal avenue available, civil, criminal, all of it." I was quiet for a moment, then, "Okay." After I hung up, I sat there. The decision had been made, not in that phone call, but somewhere over the past 3 weeks, while I was gathering evidence, while I was learning about forensic signatures and civil discovery and elder financial abuse statutes, while I was becoming someone who fights back. Monday morning, I called Margaret. "I need to update my power of attorney," I said. "Remove Karen, add you, if you're willing." "Of course I'm willing." "And my will. I need to review it, make sure everything's current. I'll call my colleague, the estate attorney I mentioned, Sarah Kim. She's excellent." We met with Sarah Tuesday afternoon, Margaret's office. She'd offered it. Neutral ground, professional setting. Sarah was younger than I expected. 45, sharp suit, neat notes. She'd already reviewed my current documents. Power of attorney, will, everything. "The good news," she said, "is that the fraudulent POA Karen filed doesn't affect your genuine medical POA. We can revoke that immediately, draft a new one, naming Margaret as your agent." "What about my will?" Sarah pulled out a copy. "Your current will splits everything 50-50 between Karen and her children. Is that still your intention?" I thought about it. Emma, Connor, 12 and 9, innocent. They hadn't done anything wrong. The grandchildren, yes. Karen, no. Sarah made a note. "We can create a trust for Emma and Connor, protected. So the money goes to them when they turn 25, not to their mother. Can Karen challenge it? She can try, but with a properly drafted trust, documented reasons for exclusion, and the evidence of her financial abuse, any court would uphold it. We spent 2 hours going through everything, revoking the old power of attorney, drafting a new one, Margaret as primary agent, my niece in California as backup, creating the trust for Emma and Connor, updating beneficiaries on my accounts, my life insurance, everything. When it was done, Sarah pushed the documents across the table. "Sign here," she said, "and here, and initial here." I picked up the pen. Blue ink. The same pen I'd used 6 months ago when I'd signed Karen's papers. But this time, I read every word, every clause, every line. Medical power of attorney, healthcare decisions only, Margaret Coleman, primary agent, trust agreement, Emma Reynolds and Connor Reynolds beneficiaries, funds to be distributed at age 25, will amendment, removing Karen Reynolds Mitchell as beneficiary. I signed. Slowly, carefully, my genuine signature, not forged, not practiced, mine. Margaret witnessed, Sarah notarized. It was done. That evening, I sat on my porch. Sunset. The neighbors were out walking their dog. Mrs. Patterson from next door waved. I waved back. Everything looked normal. The same street, the same houses, the same oak tree in my front yard. But I was different. I went inside, to the spare bedroom, where I kept the photo albums, the beach house albums, 41 years of summers. I pulled out the one from the last decade. Karen, Tom, Emma, Connor. I flipped through slowly. 4th of July parties, Emma's first ocean swim, Connor learning to fish, family dinners on the deck. The last photo was from 2 years ago, all of us. Jim had just died. We'd scattered his ashes from the deck. This was later that day, sunset. Karen had her arm around me. We were both crying, but smiling too, remembering. I closed the album, set it back on the shelf. Some things you can't get back. The beach house, the trust, the daughter I thought I had. But some things you can protect. Your future, your assets, your grandchildren's inheritance. And some things you learn. That trust has to be earned. That signatures matter. That love doesn't mean being a doormat. I was ready for mediation. The week before mediation was paperwork, depositions scheduled, financial forensics ordered, discovery requests filed. Susan handled most of it, but she kept me informed. Every document, every development. Monday, Karen's attorney called Susan, Mark Peterson, 50-something, corporate law background. Karen had hired him the week after I'd retained Susan. He was expensive, $250 an hour. I wondered where Karen was getting the money. Then I remembered. My beach house money. "He wants to talk settlement," Susan said. "Before mediation, save everyone time and expense." "I'm listening." Tuesday afternoon, Susan called back. "They're offering $300,000. Return of partial proceeds. Karen keeps the house sale on her record. No admission of wrongdoing. You sign a confidentiality agreement. No discussion of settlement terms or underlying facts. Clean break. $300,000 out of $650,000, less than half. That's not enough, I said. I told him that. But Barb, it's guaranteed money, no trial, no risk. You'd have it within 30 days. I thought about it. $300,000. That would cover most of what I'd given Karen over the years. The sacrifice ledger, $240,000, plus legal fees. But it wasn't about the money anymore, not just the money. "What about the forgery?" I asked. "The fraud? The lies she told professionals?" "The confidentiality agreement would prohibit you from discussing any of it." She wanted to buy my silence. I looked at the documents on my kitchen table, the forensic report, Richard Webb's signature analysis, the emails. She'll never know until it's done. "No," I said. "We go to mediation." Susan was quiet for a moment. "You're sure?" "She stole my house, forged my signature, told people I had dementia, and now she wants me to pretend it didn't happen. For $300,000? No." "Understood. I'll let Peterson know." That night, I drove past Karen's neighborhood. I shouldn't have. I knew I shouldn't have. But I did it anyway. Left turn off Morrison 2 blocks, past the tennis courts, right on Elm. The Lexus was in the driveway. White, leather interior probably, $48,000 of my beach house money. The house she was renting, 2-story colonial, nice neighborhood, was $1,500 a month. $18,000 a year, the country club membership, $25,000 initiation, plus monthly dues. She was spending money she didn't have, money she'd stolen. I didn't slow down, just noted it. Evidence. Pattern. When I got home, Emma had called, left a voicemail. Her voice was shaky, crying. "Grandma, it's me. Can you call me back, please? I'm at Dad's. Mom's really upset. She says you're suing her, that you're trying to take everything, that you won't even talk to her. I don't understand. Can't you guys just work this out? Please call me." I sat on my couch, phone in my hand, 12 years old, too young to understand fraud, forgery, elder financial abuse, too young to know that sometimes working it out isn't possible. I called Tom instead, Emma's father. "She called you," he said. It wasn't a question. "Yes." "Karen told her you're being unreasonable, that this is all a misunderstanding, that you won't listen to her side." "That's not what's happening." "I know, I told Emma that. I told her this is between you and her mother, that she doesn't need to fix it. But she's 12. She wants everyone to be happy." "I'm sorry she's caught in the middle." "Don't be. This is Karen's doing, not yours. Emma will understand eventually, when she's older. For now, I'm keeping her out of it." "Thank you." "Barb," Tom paused. "Whatever happens at mediation, I support you. Emma and Connor are welcome at my house anytime. You don't need Karen's permission to see them." My throat tightened. "I appreciate that." After I hung up, I looked at my phone. Emma's number. I could call her back, explain, tell her grandmother wasn't being mean, that sometimes adults make terrible choices, that consequences matter, but she was 12. She shouldn't have to carry this. I didn't call. Thursday morning, Susan forwarded an email from Mark Peterson. Attached, a letter from Karen. "She wants you to read this," Susan wrote. "Before mediation, I'm sending it, but you don't have to respond." The letter was handwritten, Karen's handwriting, not typed, personal. "Mom, I know I destroyed everything. The divorce broke me. Not just financially, emotionally. I felt like a failure. 42 years old, starting over, watching Tom's new wife live my life. The house I decorated, the country club I joined, the life I built. I made terrible choices. The gambling started after the divorce. I thought I could win it back, fix my finances before anyone noticed. It got out of control. The debts were crushing me. I was losing the house I was renting. Emma and Connor were going to have to change schools. Everything was falling apart. I thought the beach house, it's been in the family 40 years. It's worth so much now. I thought if I could just use some of it temporarily, I could get back on my feet, pay off the debts, stabilize. Then I'd tell you, make it right. I know that doesn't excuse what I did. Forging the power of attorney, lying to the title company, spending the money instead of saving it. I know, I messed up. I destroyed your trust. I destroyed us. I'm getting help now, real help. Gamblers Anonymous. Therapy. I'm facing what I did. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. I see what I did now. I see the damage. I'm sorry, Mom. Karen, I read it 3 times. The handwriting was hers. The words sounded like her. Genuine. Raw. Part of me, the mother part, wanted to pick up the phone. Call her. Tell her I forgave her. That we'd work it out. That family was more important than money. But another part, the part that had spent 3 weeks gathering evidence, remembered the emails. She'll never know until it's done. The spending, $120,000 in 6 weeks. The lies. My mother has dementia. I set the letter on the table, picked up my phone, put it down, picked it up again. I called Margaret. She sent me a letter, I said, apologizing. I know, Susan told me. It sounds genuine. Maybe it is. So what do I do? Margaret was quiet for a moment. Barb, do you remember what I told you? About my sister? The one who stole from your mother? Yes. She apologized too. Cried. Said she'd been desperate. That she'd made mistakes. My mother forgave her. Didn't press charges. Didn't sue. Let it go for family harmony. What happened? 2 years later, my sister did it again. Forged my mother's signature on a loan. Took out $20,000. By the time we caught it, the money was gone. Spent. My mother had to file bankruptcy. Lost her house. I was quiet. I'm not saying Karen will do it again, Margaret said. I'm saying apologies are easy. Words are easy. Change is hard, and you need to protect yourself, not just for now, but for the future. So I shouldn't respond. Not until mediation. Not until you're in a room with lawyers and a mediator and a legally binding agreement. Words are cheap, Barb. Contracts matter. I put Karen's letter in a drawer, next to the photo albums, the ones with the beach house pictures. Maybe someday I'd take it out again, read it, process it, but not now. Friday afternoon, Susan called. Mark Peterson called again. They've raised the offer, $500,000, full restitution minus what Karen's already spent. She'll sell her car, cash out what's left of her retirement, liquidate everything, but what? Same confidentiality clause, no public disclosure, no discussion of underlying facts. $500,000. Most of the money. Not all, but most. What would I have to sign? Susan was quiet for a moment. An agreement stating that all parties agree to confidentiality regarding settlement terms and underlying facts. Basically, you couldn't tell anyone what Karen did. Not Emma and Connor when they're older. Not at your volunteer work. Not if someone asks why you and Karen aren't speaking. She wants to buy my silence again. That's one way to look at it. I looked at the letter in the drawer. Karen's apology, her explanation, the gambling, the desperation. I understood it. I did. But understanding wasn't the same as acceptance. Empathy wasn't the same as enabling. I want to go to mediation, I said. I want everything on the record. What she did. Why it was wrong. I want legal consequences, not just financial ones. Okay, Susan said. Then we proceed as planned, June 15th, 9 a.m. After I hung up, I sat on my porch. Evening, the same neighbors walking their dog. Mrs. Patterson waved again. I waved back. Sunday afternoon, Margaret brought coffee and lemon bars. We sat on my porch. Didn't talk much at first, just coffee. Jeopardy on TV inside. Muted. We could see it through the window. 2 days, Margaret said finally. 2 days. Are you ready? I thought about it. The evidence. 5 pieces. Each one proving what Karen had done. The documents signed. The boundaries set. The trust created. Emma and Connor protected. Yes, I said. I'm ready. Whatever happens in there, Margaret said, I'll be right beside you. I know. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Tuesday, the mediation room, Karen across the table, lawyers, mediator, documents, evidence, 42 years of motherhood, coming down to this. But some things you can't fix with love. Some things require justice, boundaries, consequences. I got up, made coffee, 3 a.m. kitchen table. I pulled out all the documents one more time, organized them, blue folders, red folders, yellow folders, everything ready. Mediation was in 48 hours. I was ready. Tuesday morning, June 15th. I woke at 5. Couldn't sleep anyway. Made coffee, sat at the kitchen table. Everything was ready. Documents organized, color-coded folders. Susan had the originals. I had copies. Margaret picked me up at 8. She drove. I was grateful. My hands were shaking. You're going to be fine, she said. I know. But I didn't know. Not really. I'd never done anything like this before. Never confronted anyone in a legal setting. Never accused my own daughter of fraud in front of attorneys and a mediator. The office was downtown, 10th floor, same building as Susan's practice, conference room at the end of the hall, glass walls, large table, 12 chairs. Susan was already there, setting up, documents spread out, laptop open. She looked up when we entered. Good morning, Barb, Margaret. Professional, calm. They'll be here in 10 minutes. The mediator will start with opening statements. Then we present our case. Then they respond. Then we negotiate. Okay. Remember, this isn't a trial, it's a conversation. With structure. The mediator, David Chen, is neutral. He won't take sides, but he'll guide the process. Keep things civil. What if Karen doesn't settle? Then we file suit, but let's see what happens first. At 9 exactly, they arrived. The mediator first. David Chen, 50s, gray suit, kind eyes. He shook my hand. Mrs. Reynolds, thank you for being here. Then Karen's attorney, Mark Peterson, tall, expensive suit, briefcase. He nodded at Susan, counselor. Then Karen. I hadn't seen her in person since Memorial Day, since before the beach house. She looked thinner, tired, dark circles under her eyes. She was wearing a black suit, hair pulled back. She looked at me, then away. We sat. Susan and I on one side, Margaret beside me, Karen and Mark Peterson on the other, David Chen at the head of the table. Good morning, David said. We're here to mediate a dispute between Barbara Reynolds and Karen Reynolds Mitchell regarding the sale of a property in Brunswick County. I want to start by explaining the process. This is a voluntary negotiation. Everything said here is confidential. Nothing can be used in court later. The goal is to reach a mutually acceptable resolution. If we can't, both parties are free to pursue other legal options. Understood? We all nodded. Ms. Chen, David said, looking at Susan, would you like to present your client's position? Susan stood, opened her laptop, pulled up the first slide, the beach house, blue shutters, wraparound deck. The photo was from 2 summers ago, Emma and Connor on the deck, smiling. This is the Reynolds family beach house, purchased in 1983 by Barbara and her late husband, Jim. It's been in the family for 41 years, a place of memories, of legacy. On May 10th of this year, it was sold without Mrs. Reynolds' knowledge or permission. Susan clicked to the next slide. 2 power of attorney documents, side by side. Mrs. Reynolds signed a medical power of attorney on March 13th. Healthcare decisions only, emergency treatment, end-of-life care, standard document, witnessed by her daughter, Karen Reynolds Mitchell. Click. Zoom in on the signature. 2 days later, a different power of attorney was filed with Brunswick County. General authority, financial decisions, property sales. This signature, she pointed, is not genuine. Click. Forensic report. Richard Webb's analysis, pressure variations, hesitation marks, simulation indicators. Richard Webb, forensic document examiner, analyzed both signatures. His conclusion, the second signature is a forgery, simulated, traced, not genuine. Mark Peterson shifted in his seat. Karen stared at the table. Let's talk about the money, Susan said. Click. Bank records. The house sold for $650,000. Proceeds, $648,500. Deposited into Karen Reynolds Mitchell's personal account, not Mrs. Reynolds' account, Karen's. Click. Spending records. Within 6 weeks, Karen spent $120,000. A Lexus SUV, country club membership, furniture, credit card debt. While telling her mother the money was being held in trust, while stalling on transfer requests. Click. Email evidence. The emails tell the story. Karen to the realtor. My mother's in early dementia. I have full authority. Karen to a friend. She'll never know until it's done. By then, the money will be gone. I watched Karen's face. She was crying now. Silent tears. Not looking up. The title company never contacted Mrs. Reynolds, Susan continued, never verified her capacity, never asked if she understood what was being sold. They took Karen's word. They believed the lie about dementia. They processed the sale without basic due diligence. Click. Final slide. Legal summary. This is elder financial abuse, forgery, fraud, theft by deception. Under North Carolina law, these are serious crimes, civil violations, potentially criminal charges. We have documentation, evidence, witnesses, an airtight case. Susan sat down. The room was quiet. David Chen looked at Mark Peterson. "Would you like to respond?" Mark stood. No PowerPoint, no slides, just yellow legal pad. "My client acknowledges mistakes were made," he said. Karen was under extreme financial pressure, a devastating divorce, job loss, crushing debt. She made poor decisions. She used the power of attorney inappropriately. She spent money that wasn't hers. She knows this. She's not denying it. He looked at Karen. She nodded. "But this isn't a criminal. This is a daughter who made desperate choices during a mental health crisis. Karen has been diagnosed with clinical depression, anxiety disorder, gambling addiction. She's in treatment now, therapy, Gamblers Anonymous, psychiatric medication. She's getting help." "That doesn't excuse fraud," Susan said. "No," Mark agreed, "it doesn't, but it provides context. Karen isn't a predator. She's a sick woman who made terrible choices. She wants to make this right." David looked at me. "Mrs. Reynolds, would you like to speak?" I hadn't planned to. Susan had done the presentation. But sitting there looking at Karen across the table, I realized I needed to. I stood up, slowly. "Karen," I said, "look at me." She looked up, eyes red, mascara smudged. "You told them I had dementia." She opened her mouth, closed it. "I'm 68 years old. I volunteer at the garden club. I balance my checkbook every month. I remember my grandchildren's birthdays. I read 3 books a month, and you told strangers I was losing my mind." "Mom, I raised you alone after your father died. I gave you everything. College, $85,000. Down payment, $40,000. Wedding, $30,000. Your children's school, your divorce attorney, $240,000 over the years. Because I loved you, because that's what mothers do." My voice was steady, not loud, not theatrical, just clear. "And then you forged my signature. You lied to professionals. You stole my house, the house your father and I bought, the house where you grew up, where Emma and Connor learned to swim. You stole it, sold it, spent the money on a car and a country club membership." Karen was crying harder now. "I'm sorry. You sent me a letter, apologizing, explaining, the gambling, the desperation. I read it. I understand desperation, Karen. I understand financial pressure. But understanding doesn't make this okay. Understanding doesn't undo fraud." I looked at David Chen, then at Mark Peterson, then back at Karen. "You're my daughter," I said. "And I still love you. But love doesn't mean accepting theft. Love doesn't mean protecting you from consequences. Love doesn't mean pretending this didn't happen." I sat down. My hands were shaking again. Margaret squeezed my hand under the table. David Chen let the silence sit for a moment. Then, "Mr. Peterson, does your client wish to respond?" Mark looked at Karen. She nodded. Karen stood, shakily. "Mom, I know I destroyed everything. I know you can't forgive me. I don't expect you to. The gambling, it started after the divorce. I thought I could fix my finances, win back what I'd lost. It spiraled. The debts were $45,000. I was facing eviction. The kids were going to have to change schools. Everything was falling apart." Her voice broke. "I saw the beach house. I knew it was worth so much now. I thought, just temporarily, I could use some of it. Pay off the debts, get stable, then tell you, pay it back, make it right. But you didn't," I said. "You spent it on luxuries, not debts." "I know. Once I had the money, She wiped her eyes. "I wanted to feel normal again, not like a failure, the car, the club. I wanted to pretend my life wasn't destroyed. It was stupid, selfish. I see that now." "How much is left?" Susan asked. Mark answered. 400,000, give or take. Karen's liquidating. Everything. The car will be sold, retirement account cashed out. She'll move to a cheaper rental." "What about the remaining 250,000? Susan asked. "Payment plan," Mark said. 5,000 a month for 50 months. Karen's working now, part-time job. She can make payments." Susan looked at me. Silent question. I looked at the documents on the table, the forensic report, The bank records, the emails, everything we'd gathered, everything we'd documented. "What about criminal charges?" I asked David. "That's up to the prosecutor," he said, "and up to you. You can press charges regardless of whether we reach a settlement, or you can make charges part of the negotiation." I looked at Karen, broken, crying, my daughter. Part of me wanted her to face criminal charges, to be prosecuted, to have this on her record, to face real consequences. But another part, the mother part, didn't want that. Didn't want her in jail. Didn't want Emma and Connor visiting their mother in an orange jumpsuit. "If she makes the payments," I said, "and follows through on the settlement, I won't press charges. But if she defaults, if she misses even one payment, I reserve the right to pursue criminal prosecution." Mark nodded. "We can agree to that." "And a no-contact order," Susan added. 1 year, no communication, no contact. Through me only." "Agreed," Mark said. David looked at all of us. "Are we close to a settlement?" $400,000 immediately, Susan said. $250,000 over 5 years at $5,000 per month. No contact order for 1 year. If Karen defaults on payments, Mrs. Reynolds retains the right to press criminal charges. All terms in writing, filed with the court. "My client agrees," Mark said. David looked at me. "Mrs. Reynolds?" I looked at Karen one more time. 42 years of motherhood. Coming down to this. A conference room, lawyers, a settlement agreement. When the mediator read the terms back to us, the payment schedule, the no-contact order, the default consequences, I didn't feel triumphant. Just tired. 42 years. And it ended here. In a conference room, with lawyers, and a stranger signing papers. But it was fair. It was just. It protected me. It protected Emma and Connor's trust. "Yes," I said. "I agree." David drafted the agreement. 16 pages, legal language, payment schedule, default provisions, no contact terms. We all signed, Karen first, then me, then the attorneys. David notarized. It was done. The first payment arrived 1 week after mediation. $100,000, cashier's check, delivered by courier. I took it to the bank, different bank. Not the one where Karen had her account. New account, my name only. The teller processed it, asked if I wanted a receipt. "Yes," I said. I filed it carefully when I got home. Proof, not of theft this time, of recovery. Over the next month, 3 more payments came. 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 400,000 total. Everything Karen had left after her spending spree. The Lexus was sold, her retirement account cashed out. She'd moved to a smaller apartment. Emma told me later, I didn't ask for details. The remaining $250,000 would come slowly, $5,000 a month, 50 months, 4 years, 2 months. If she didn't default, if she kept the job, if she stayed stable. Susan set up automatic monitoring, monthly confirmation of payment. If Karen missed even one, I'd be notified immediately. Criminal charges would be back on the table. The financial restitution was clear, documented, enforceable. The family consequences were harder. The no-contact order was in place. 1 year, no calls, no texts, no emails. Karen wasn't allowed at my condo. I wasn't supposed to go to hers. Communication through attorneys only. Emma and Connor. That was the complicated part. Tom had custody, primary residence. They could visit me any time. Karen couldn't stop them, but Emma was 12. Old enough to feel the divide, to know something was broken, to try to fix it. She'd called twice, both times crying. "Grandma, can't you just forgive her? She said she's sorry, she's in therapy." I'd tried to explain, age appropriate, honest. Your mom made serious mistakes, adult mistakes. She took something that wasn't hers. That's theft. Even when family does it, it's wrong. I still love her. But I can't pretend it didn't happen. "But you're not talking to her for a whole year." That's what the court ordered, to give us both space, to make sure she follows through on paying back the money. Emma didn't understand. Not really. How could she? She was 12. But Connor, 9, he understood even less. He just knew Grandma and Mom weren't speaking. He asked when we'd have Thanksgiving together again. I didn't have an answer. Tom helped, brought the kids to my condo every other Saturday. We'd make pancakes, watch movies. I'd ask about school, soccer, friends, normal things. I didn't ask about Karen. They didn't volunteer. The legal costs were $35,000. Susan's fees, Richard Webb's forensic examination, court filing fees, mediation costs. I paid it from the restitution money, still left with $365,000, plus whatever came in monthly payments. The community knew. Small world. Someone at the county clerk's office knew someone at the garden club. Word got out. Karen Reynolds Mitchell settled a lawsuit with her mother. Elder. Financial abuse. The responses varied. Some people brought casseroles. Quietly. Just thought you might not feel like cooking. Left them on my doorstep. No questions asked. I appreciated that. Others wanted details. What happened? I heard Karen stole from you? I kept it vague. We had a financial disagreement. It's resolved now. Privacy mattered. The book club ladies rallied. Margaret had told them the basics. They didn't press for more. But they made it clear. Tuesday mornings I was welcome. Always. Janet brought extra coffee. Susan, different Susan, book club Susan, picked murder mysteries that month. Lighter fare. Escapism. Karen lost her country club membership, not because I asked them to, because she couldn't pay the dues. Word got around anyway. Her friends distanced themselves. In those circles, financial scandal matters. Reputation matters. Margaret stopped by last Tuesday. Brought coffee and her famous lemon bars, still warm from the oven. You did it, she said. You stood up for yourself. We sat on my porch, the same porch where we'd had coffee 100 times before. Book club discussions, garden gossip, life updates. But this felt different. Bigger. I couldn't have done it without you, I said. Yes, you could have, but you didn't have to. We didn't talk much after that, didn't need to. Sometimes friendship doesn't need words. She'd been there from the beginning. The day I found the sold sign, the mediation, every court filing, every moment I'd wanted to give in, to call Karen, to let it go. Margaret had been there. Not pushing, not deciding for me. Just there. Every Tuesday now. Coffee and book club gossip. Too much gossip, honestly. Margaret knew everyone's business. Who was dating whom? Who got a new car? Who was fighting with their daughter-in-law? She'd share it all. Dramatic retellings, exaggerated details. But I didn't mind. She'd been there when I needed someone. That counted for everything. Susan Chen called 2 weeks after mediation. Professional check-in, she said, making sure I was settling in, following up on the payments. You were one of the strongest clients I've had, she told me. Most people fold when family's involved. They choose silence over justice. You didn't. I had good representation. You had good boundaries. She'd helped me with something else, too. Found me a new estate attorney. Someone younger, sharper. Someone who specialized in elder law and asset protection. Sarah Kim, 45, estate planning expert. Susan reviewed my updated documents, the new power of attorney, the trust for Emma and Connor, the will amendment, no charge. Consider it pro bono, she said. You've been through enough. This is the least I can do. I sent her a thank you note. Old-fashioned, I know, but some things matter. Handwritten notes. Proper gratitude. She'd taught me that legal systems work. When you have evidence. When you stand firm. When you refuse to be silent. Emma called last month. From her dad's phone. Grandma, can I come visit? We met at the park, neutral ground, the same park I used to take Karen to when she was little. Swings, sandbox, playground. Emma was too old for playgrounds now, but we sat on the bench, watched other families, other kids. Grandma, Mom said you were mean, that you sued her, took all her money. I'd been expecting this. I'd prepared. Emma, your mom made a mistake, a big one. She took something that belonged to me, Money from a house sale. That's theft. Even when family does it, it's wrong. But she's sorry. I know she is. I believe her. But sorry doesn't undo what happened. I still lost my beach house, the place where you and Connor learned to swim, where we made pancakes every summer. That's gone now because of choices your mom made. Emma was quiet, processing. I pulled out copies of documents, age-appropriate versions. Susan had helped me prepare them. Simplified language. Key facts only. No legal jargon. Your mom forged my signature. See, this is my real signature. This is the fake one. She used it to sell the house without asking me. Emma studied them. She was smart. 12 going on 20. She could see the differences. I still love your mom, I said. She's my daughter. You're my granddaughter. That doesn't change. But I can't let people steal from me, even family, especially family. If I don't stand up for myself, who will? Emma hugged me, sudden, tight. I missed you, Grandma. I missed you too, sweetheart. Connor was still too young, 9. He didn't understand the details, just knew Grandma and Mom weren't talking. That was enough, but Emma understood, at least some of it. That was enough for now. I met with Sarah Kim last week, the estate attorney Susan had recommended. Her office was in South Park, modern, clean, professional. We went through everything. The beach house money, what was left after legal fees, my retirement accounts, life insurance, Social Security, assets, liabilities, everything. I want to protect this, I said, for Emma and Connor. Make sure their mother can't touch it. Sarah pulled out forms, trust documents, irrevocable trust, protected assets. The grandchildren are beneficiaries, she explained. The trust matures when Emma turns 25, Connor turns 25. They'll get distributions then, for college, first homes, their futures, not for their mother's mistakes. Can Karen challenge it? She can try. But with documented financial abuse, forged signatures, the settlement agreement, any court would uphold this trust. Your assets are protected. We spent 2 hours drafting. Trust agreement, updated will, beneficiary designations, new power of attorney backups. Everything Karen had violated, we secured. Everything she'd stolen, we protected. I signed with a steady hand, my genuine signature, not forged, not practiced. Mine. The trust was funded with the beach house money, $365,000, plus monthly additions from Karen's payments. By the time Emma turned 25, it would be substantial, college paid for, down payment on a house, a foundation for her future. Connor would get his at 25 too, 16 years from now, but it would be there, protected, secure. Saturday afternoon, I sorted through the beach house photos. Margaret came over to help. We made piles. Keep for me. Give to Emma and Connor, set aside for later. The ones with Karen went in a box. I didn't throw them away. Couldn't. She was still my daughter. Those memories. 7-year-old Karen building sandcastles. 12-year-old Karen learning to fish. Those were real. That person existed. Before the divorce. Before the gambling. Before the theft. I put that box in the closet. Maybe someday I'd look at them again, when it hurt less, when enough time had passed. Margaret handed me photos one by one. This one, Emma and Connor on the deck, sunset 2 years ago. Emma and Connor pile, I said. This one? Family dinner, all of us. Jim grilling, Karen laughing. I hesitated. Mine, we worked quietly, sorting memories, dividing the past, making decisions about what to keep, what to give, what to set aside. When we finished, I had 2 albums, Emma's pile, Connor's pile. Next time they visited, I'd give them to them. Keep these safe, I'd say. Remember the beach house. Remember the good times. That was real too. The beach house itself was gone, sold. White shutters probably painted over by now. Someone else's deck. Someone else's memories. But the legacy remained, in photos, in trust funds, in lessons learned. Some things you can't get back, but some things you can protect. I live alone now, same condo in Charlotte, Same book club on Tuesdays, same garden club volunteer work on Thursdays. But everything's different. I don't answer Karen's calls. The no contact order expired last month. She's texted twice, short messages. Mom, can we talk? I haven't responded. I'm not ready. Maybe I never will be. That's okay. The beach house is gone. Sold to a young family from Raleigh, 2 kids, a dog. Tom drove by once, said they'd painted the shutters white, added a swing set in the yard. It's not mine anymore. That's the truth. Some things you can't get back, but the money sits in the trust, protected. Emma gets her share in 13 years, Connor in 16, college funds, down payments, foundations, security. The kind of security Karen took from me, the kind I'm making sure my grandchildren have. Emma comes over every other Saturday. We make pancakes, talk about school. She's doing well. 8th grade now. Still asks about her mother sometimes. I tell her the truth. I still love her, but love and trust are different things. Trust has to be earned back. That takes time. I volunteer now at the Senior Center on Morrison Street, Elder Abuse Prevention Program. Once a month I give a talk. How to protect yourself from financial fraud. 20-30 seniors show up. I tell them about power of attorney abuse, forged signatures, what to watch for. I don't tell them it was my daughter. I say a family member. They nod. They understand. More than one has come up after. Whispered their own story. Son who took the car title. Nephew who emptied the bank account. Daughter who, well, you know. The program coordinator asked me to serve on the advisory board. I said yes. It's not much, but it's something. If one person hears my story and protects themselves, it's worth it. People ask me how I knew, how I figured out what Karen had done. The truth? I almost didn't. I almost believed her. You signed the power of attorney, Mom. You gave me authority. I almost let it go. For family harmony, for the grandchildren, for the easier path. But something Margaret said stuck with me. Barb, loving someone doesn't mean letting them steal from you. That was it. That was the line. I'm not telling you to distrust your family. I'm not saying everyone's out to get you, but I am saying this. Read what you sign. Keep copies of everything. Ask questions. And if something feels wrong, it probably is. Karen had every advantage. College education, upper middle class upbringing, opportunities I never had. And she chose fraud. She chose to forge my signature, to lie to professionals, to steal my home. I gave her $240,000 over the years, willingly, lovingly, because that's what mothers do, and she took $650,000 more without asking, without permission. Have you checked your power of attorney documents recently? Do you know who has financial authority over your accounts? If something happened to you tomorrow, would your assets be protected? I learned the hard way. You don't have to. I'm 68 years old. I thought I was done learning hard lessons. Turns out, you're never too old to learn that trust has to be earned, that signatures matter, that love doesn't mean being a doormat. Margaret still brings coffee on Tuesdays, lemon bars, too much gossip. We sit on my porch, watch the neighbors, talk about books. It's enough. The photo albums are on the shelf, Emma's pile, Connor's pile, ready for when they're older, when they want to remember the beach house summers. The good times, those were real too. I'm rebuilding. It's not the life I planned, but it's mine, and nobody's going to take advantage of me again.